build a knife.
Air horn to shop class.
Bet you I could build a knife out of that. And so I cut it out and I took it, but I had no idea how to shape it, which actually works. And a file, had no idea that it's cold steel. It'll never harden. I ordered some Ep1 high carbon steel, which is O stands for oil.
What kind of file? Was it a bastard file?
Yeah, bastard file. Yeah, I said bastard file in actually my woods class. And I had a female teacher. She lost her shit. She was so pissed off at me. We do not call it a bastard file.
And can you hear?
I can hear you. I can hear me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I can hear you. I need to grab my drink.
Okay.
They should know who Pride Alldredge is. He's an engineer for the MCFD. He's been there for 15 years.
It'll be 15 in April, yeah. Almost 15.
I've had a man crush on old Pride for a long time. He's taken care of me, and when I was first hired on Sea Platoon, I was matched up with Pride. Spent 7 months until an opening came up, and I pieced out. But this isn't about me. But without Pride, I really questioned if I made the right choice at MCFD. And so for me, it meant a lot. So you were my mentor, my preceptor, and I was just a freaking arrogant prick of a kid.
I wouldn't say that.
I'm saying it. And thought that my shit don't stink, everything else. But Pride really took me under his wing and helped me a lot, and we had a lot of fun, I feel like. And then Pride was promoted shortly after that to engineer. He is a master of his craft. If you have eyes and if you look at Pride, he's a fucking monster, being well-rounded. Not only are you an engineer, but you're a damn good medic. A lot. You know your shit when it comes to paramedicine.
Thanks, man.
You not only that, well, no, it's a lot of experience, but you're very intelligent with it, and you don't have an ego. That's the thing about Pride is there's no fucking ego. We breed this in the fire department, this egotistical bullshit, and you're not it.
I've always hated that. I'm glad to hear that because that's the exact. I never wanted to have that ego driving me all the time, like I see in the fire department. Unfortunately, it's true, man. I remember early on, I went to a class taught by some dude outside of our zip code, so obviously he's an expert, but he just said, ego is the disease of the fire service, and it kind of is true. It's for sure true.
Yeah, it is for sure true.
So I'm glad that you see me that way. That's cool.
Oh yeah, well, I think the world of you. And
no, I never want to identify as just a firefighter.
This is not me.
This job.
This is my job. Mm-hmm. It's the best job ever. It's the perfect job to have multiple jobs.
Yeah.
Which is sad.
Yeah.
But you get a lot of these type of personalities that are always busy. They're always doing something, and that's one thing about you is you do other things, man. Like I got this knife right here that you made me. Yeah. I'll let you tell the story. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about
this knife.
Let's talk about the knives.
I just got interested in knife making, and I'd made it myself a few knives. And Spencer's like, "Hey, man, I've got this." There was this blue. What was the company name that they made leather work knives, and this was one of the designs. And I thought I could make that. So
I know. Yeah, I can't remember.
It was
the name.
blue. Is it Wrangler or something Wranglers?
Yeah, I want to say
Leather Wranglers or something
that.
Yeah. So they had these cool like head-shaped knives, curved blade knives. And I couldn't figure out how to do those at the time because I didn't have the small wheel on my grinder at the time, so I could make those tight radiuses. But this one I figured I can make. And it's a high carbon steel because high carbon was easy to heat treat. And then you picked out this spalted maple, which is a cool. Spalted maple is basically maple that's sat on the ground and it's started to rot, and there's these black lines are actually fungus that's growing inside in the wood itself. And then they put it in epoxy and basically impregnate it with epoxy, so it makes it a little stronger. But yeah, man, this is good. This is a fun knife to build. It was fun to build it for you.
Well, it was awesome just because it was the tools for it, and yet you still did it.
Yeah, I was working at the time. I was like, man, I could do this, I could do that. So I was watching. I watched a lot of YouTube videos on all these different knife makers and how they did things. And yeah, this is pretty early on. Started making different things now. Got a small wheel from the guy that makes grinder parts here in Utah. So yeah, dude, it was a cool knife. It feels good in your hand. It's got a big fat bulbous end to it, and you can just make
Push cuts
real nice.
And pull. Yeah. So like you can push and pull. In the words of Forged in Fire, it will kill.
It will kill. I'm glad you still like it, man.
Oh, that's awesome. I use it all the time. Like I had to run back to I'll show you a little section where I do like the leather stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And I use this knife whenever I'm cutting strips. Yeah. It's just great for what it is. And I got to tell this little story. I remember when Pride there's certain things that can kind of not trigger, but set Pride off. and when he was like, well, how often do you stripe or polish
strop your
knife? And I was like, what's that? He's like, I thought you do leather. And I walked out of there with a knife, but also a new strop.
Yeah.
And he loaded it up with the polish to keep it maintained. He's like, this way you don't ever have to sharpen it. And he's going through how to sharpen the knife for me. And
so basically, yeah, if you strop that every time you use it, it should mostly maintain your blade.
Yep.
It's just like a little polish every time you use it, and over the long range, it just keeps it right on its edge. Basically, you take a piece of leather and you put polishing compound in it, and that compound on the surface of the leather just straightens that edge out. Every time you use it, it kind of might deform just a little bit. You hear those super knives that never dull. That's a fallacy. Any blade steel will eventually fold over, and then you got to resharpen it. But if you're constantly straightening it and polishing it up a little bit, it'll last much longer. So that's what I'd recommend to anybody that wants to keep their blades sharp. Strop them almost every time you use them.
Yeah.
If you look at the old guys that use straight razors, that's what they do every time.
Well, yeah, you think about like any kind of Hollywood movie where they go to a barber.
Yeah.
Right? They go to the barber, and then you see them with that straight blade. They're doing a hot shave with it.
Yeah,
and you just see that belt-looking thing.
Yep, exactly.
And they're just, and that's maintaining that
edge.
That edge.
Yep. Yeah. Little bits at a time, just straightening it out, putting that point back to from folded over to pointed up, and
well, let me ask you this. He's an adrenaline junkie when it comes to motorcycle.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is not about me, Kay, but I do remember when I first saw you on it, and I was like, hey, can I get a part of your will because you're going to die?
I didn't die.
You did it. It was crazy. This is like anybody. It's just a bound to happen of where they're gonna eat shit.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
I love
you
mechanical
fi-
stuff.
You
I just
fix
want to.
shit. You build shit.
Just stuff comes into my brain all of a sudden. I got to do it. Like I'll get on a tangent. Like for some reason, ever since I remember in 7th grade, I wanted to build a knife, but I didn't quite understand it. I remember I'm in 7th grade woods or metals and plastics class. And I'm like, you know what? I want to build a knife.
Air horn to shot class.
I want to build a knife. So I go and they had this like straight bar. And I was like, I bet you I could build a knife out of that. And so I cut it out and I took it, but I had no idea how to shape it. You know, I like took a hacksaw to it, which actually works, and a file. And but I had no idea.
What kind of file? Was it a bastard file?
Yeah, bastard file. Yeah, I said bastard file in actually my woods class. And I had a female teacher. She lost her shit. She was so pissed off at me. We do not call it a bastard file. Anyway,
that's what it's
that's
called.
all. Yeah, that's what it's called. It says it right on the file. So
the file. Oh shit balls.
So yeah. Anyway, I took this piece of metal. Had no idea that it's cold steel. It'll never harden. And no matter what I do, you know, but I didn't know that. And then that kind of just stuck with me for years. Like, I'd like to build a knife someday, you know? And just one day I'm like, I saw a video come up or something. I'm going to build a knife. So I started building knives. I ordered some Ep1, high carbon steel, which is O stands for oil, and one that's just it's basically the recipe for that steel, and it's easy to heat treat. You can heat it up with the torch and quench it in oil, and it just makes it easy to make stuff, you know, like that. There we go.